If you are a human being, you have probably noticed this. You don't always have a good day, right? There are good days, and there seem to be bad days. And if you're working with psychedelics, have you noticed this? There's not always good trips, but there's always also challenging or bad trips. You know? When we zoom out and we recognize this pattern, we recognize this duality of good and bad, of preferred and not preferred, of comfortable and uncomfortable, and we realize that we live in a world of duality. This is what this is, you know? And it's sometimes tough to deal with this. It's challenging to deal with this. And so the question remains, how do we deal with this? And in this video, I want to present is a 3-step framework that is allowing me to deal with this sensation of duality, with this torn between good and bad days, with this chaos that we're living in this beautiful life. Hey, I'm Virgo. I'm a psychedelic integration coach, and over the last 10 years of working with psychedelics and, observing life and going deeper into my spiritual practice, I've kind of come to appreciate this framework. And it's this 3-part framework of what I call the dance of detached appreciation. It's something that I work with all my clients. And it's some really, really beautiful ways and perspectives and things that we can embody to take on that help us to deal with this duality of good and bad days. So let's just jump right in to the first step of detachment. Because what is making a bad day? What is making a day good or bad? What is making a psychedelic experience good or bad? Right? And I would say at the core of it is our judgment. It's just our judgment of the experience. It's our judgment based on our personal preference and bias towards a set of sensations against another set of sensations. So for example, I've had this ayahuasca ceremony recently, and it was challenging. It was just tough, emotionally tough. I was physically struggling. It was just dark, But what about it was challenging? What made me struggle or suffer in regards to this experience was only my own judgment of the experience. It was my own interpretation or my own expectation of it, to my own wish for it to be different than it is. This is where the suffering comes in. This is where the challenge comes in. This is where we feel like, this is the tragedy of the human life. So the only way to deal with this, I have found, is to detach from the experience. To detach from all experiences. To detach from all appearances. So detachment is really closely intertwined with this sensation of selflessness. To detach from the self, from the sense of self, and especially from the sense of self-identification. The identification of what we call the ego mind. Because from this identification of the ego mind, which has its preferences and its biases, comes a certain sense of expectation. As we said, a certain sense of preference that says, I wish tomorrow is a good day. I would wish that this psychedelic experience is going to take me to the angelic realms and into infinite ecstasy and bliss. Because that's what I want. That's what I want. It's this wanting. And then with this certain sense of expectation, which might lie at the surface of our awareness or deep down unconsciously, we open up the potential for disappointment to occur. And that disappointment is leading us to judge things as good or bad, and that leads to suffering. So the only way out of this game of duality is to detach from that. Detach from that self-identification. And the Zen tradition, they have a saying. It says, no self, no problem. It's one of my first and favorite kind of like sayings that I've came across on my spiritual path, because all the problems that we perceive in life are closely related with this sense of me, with this sense of I. So how do we do this? How do we detach? I'll have to say, we don't detach by suppressing. We don't detach by looking away or by kind of like being emotionally cold or not involved in the process. This is not what it's about. This is why the next two steps are coming in. But the detachment is, it's not clinging. It's not holding on to an experience, not holding on to an attachment, to wish for things to be in a certain way. But it's a letting go. It's a not clinging, not aversing to any experience, but letting it in and letting it through us, letting it move through us. And then when we do that, when we let the experience of life into us, we can feel it fully. And this is where it comes to the second step. Because we're not just detaching by staying in our center, by staying in the awareness that our essence, that which we truly are, is beyond. It's untouchable. But then we are still involved in the process of life. We still find ourselves embodied in this temple of the body, and we still kind of find ourselves engaged with life. But what we can do, and that is the second step, is to dance. And we can dance with life. The metaphor of the dance is one that is seen throughout many cultures and throughout many traditions. And it's such a wonderful analogy, a metaphor, that with every experience, with every appearance that we are meeting, we can join a dance. There's this image of one form of Shiva Nataraj, I think, where it's the dancing Shiva, it really displays this essence that this life is a dance. And what the metaphor of the dance is showing is that we are fully involved. When you're dancing, you're not just half there. When you have a good dance, you want to be fully present with the dance. And as Alan Watts also said, that the point of the dance is not to get somewhere, it's not to get to the end of the dance, but it's to be fully present with each step that you're taking, with each moment. So it's actually a full involvement. While we are being detached, we are fully involved in the experience. So that means, on the metaphor of the good and the bad day, good and bad, right? Of the one day and the other day, of the one trip and the other trip, that we're fully present with it. We're allowing the sensations in our experience. We're allowing the challenging, emotionally tough things to move through us, to digest them properly. We're letting them move, letting the bliss move through us, letting the joy move through us. We're crying, we're laughing. This is the whole dance of life. And we're fully there with that experience. And we can even, I've found, mentally, spiritually, kind of like really we can practice to dance with that experience, quite literally. It not just physically, you can literally also just dance while you're walking or while you're working in a subtle way, but you can also literally mentally dance with any experience, dance with any emotion, dance with any thought and process. Not holding on to it, detaching from it, but being fully there with it, observing it, seeing it for what it is. And then letting it go, letting it pass. So this is the part of the dance that we're not just, detached in the sense where it's commonly known that you're just not involved. No, you're fully involved, but still you're not holding on. You're fully detached as well. And so the third part of this framework of dealing with good and bad days, good and bad experiences, challenging trips and blissful trips, is the appreciation. It's kind of like the cherry on top of the cake. I found it's a certain sense of flavor onto the human experience that I like to add on, because many kind of like Buddhist traditions and some retreats I've been to, they end at the equanimity. They stay with the detachment, but and say like it's neutral. It's a peaceful neutrality. But what I like to do is to try to appreciate every experience. To try to appreciate the dance. So this is kind of like it's the love, It's the infinite unconditional loving awareness of every experience, of every sensation. See? While we're not attached to it, but we're fully in it, why not appreciate it? Why not love it? Why stop at the detached involvement? But to fully be there with it, I feel like the greatest service that we can render to reality, that we can render to any psychedelic experience that we're having, to any conversation and any relationship, to any emotion that is arising, to anything at all, the greatest service that we can render to reality is to appreciate it. Unconditionally. Appreciation with a capital A. Unconditionally, infinitely appreciating it, savoring it, honoring it. We are honoring it because it is God. Everything, when we say everything is God, everything is divine. Everything is sacred. And because everything is sacred, because everything is divine, because everything is God itself, it is existence, it is reality, and that itself is divine. That's reason enough to honor it. And the way we honor it is by thanking it, by being grateful for it, by appreciating it, savoring it, loving it fully, unconditionally. And we can, because we are not attached, we are not evolved, we're not identified with it. We're not wishing for things to be different. We're just present with every experience of life, with every sensation. We're breathing into it, we're fully present with it, and we're saying yes to it. We say, yes, this too. This too is you, God. There is no me, there is only you. So, see, with this framework, I found that we transcend the duality. We transcend the framework of good and bad. We transcend the judgment. And we're meeting life as it is, to the best of our ability. And so, just a little caveat at the end before I wrap this up and we close down this video, is to not have any expectation now to embody this framework fully. This is kind of like another trap. It's another attachment to the detachment. It's another expectation to be able to be fully present or appreciate every experience. And that leads to further suffering. It's counterintuitive, it's paradoxical. So be compassionate to yourself, be kind to yourself, be patient, go slow if this resonates and you want to try to embody this detached dance of detached appreciation, what I call, right? The dance of detached appreciation. Don't be too hard on yourself. Go slow and just give it your best. That's what I'm doing. I haven't fully embodied this framework. Not at all. But I'm trying my best. Each and every day, each and every moment, each and every psychedelic experience, I enter with this attitude of the dance of detached appreciation as my highest ideal. But I'm not judging my inability to fully embody that. So be careful in making this another thing to do, another another framework that you are not worthy enough or you're not able enough to embody. And then this whole circle of self-doubt and self-sabotage and self-judgment begins again. So that's a trap of this, just to be aware of. Just give it your best and enjoy the process of developing your ability to embody this framework, to embody the detachment, to not hold on to any experience whatsoever, but to be fully there with it, to dance with it, to have fun with it, to enjoy it, and then to appreciate it, to love it fully, unconditionally. So this dance of detached appreciation is a key part of what I call the psychedelic actualization framework, which I've developed over the past 10 years working with clients, working in the psychedelic space. If you're curious to go deeper into this, I do offer one-on-one coaching at the moment. Link is in the video description. Hope that was helpful. Have a beautiful day. Satnam.